Hey everyone, so I've been using the Zeera Magsafe mount car charger for a few days now, so I thought I'd give some more feedback in terms of what it's like to actually live with, how it's performing, and also some of the little quirks and things that you need to just be aware of. So I have actually left it installed using the normal sort of vent mount, so I didn't actually change it to the one that you stick on, and the main reason for that is it does actually perform fine. So even though in the initial video obviously I was shaking it about and making it look all wobbly and everything, it doesn't actually affect the phone, because for the most part, whilst you're actually using the mount, what actually happens is it ends up pulling down, so it rests all the weight of the phone essentially at the bottom of the actual fins, if you like. So in terms of movement and things like that, I've not found it to be a problem. It's not actually, basically I've driven my normal routes around some of the streets that are quite bumpy, and it's performed perfectly fine, both in portrait as well as landscape. It performs perfectly fine. I've actually used it whilst we've actually been out doing shopping. I normally wait in the car, and it's actually really useful for literally just chucking it on there whenever I'm watching any YouTube videos, and just put it on there, and basically it saves me having to hold the phone, especially right now where I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that just there. At the moment it's 2.5 degrees. Over the past couple of days it's actually dropped as low as -1, which feels a lot colder than it probably is when you're used to being inside all the time. So yeah, in terms of the actual strength of the magnets and everything, it's perfectly fine. What I will do is I'll just plug in, so what I have here is just a sort of generic car charger. I normally don't charge my phone in the car. I literally just dug this out just to see how it actually performs. So as you can see here, it's a 5-volt 2.4 amp. So basically it's probably giving what, just under 15 watts, is that? Something like that. Probably 12 and a half, something like that. I'm not sure on the exact maths of it. Let's just take a look. So what I'll do is I'll plug this in, because it's very hard to actually do this single-handedly. See, I've got that plugged in down there. We've got the red light. When you first plug it in, you get a blue-red flashing light, and then it basically turns red while it's not being used, and blue when it's actually being used. And this part, by the way, the actual magnet on the vent mount is actually really strong. So once you actually get it close, it'll clamp on really strong. You probably don't need to get it perfectly centered just because of the strength of it, but I tend to like to do that. Now what I'm going to do is, I've already demonstrated what happens when you've actually got this plugged in your house on a 20-watt or an 18-watt charger. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pop my phone on, and I've got basically this is the thickest case I could actually find in terms of being an actual MagSafe case. This is the leather one that I actually reviewed a few weeks back. And what I'm going to do is I'll just pop this on and we'll see what happens. So as you can see, it does the animation, does the sound, and the grip was very, very strong. So you can probably tell by the sound it actually makes. 18-watt charger. What I want to actually just show you now is what happens when you've got it just plugged into a normal generic charger. So I'll shut up for a minute. So as you can see, it doesn't do the MagSafe animation for the simple reason that the charger isn't powerful enough. And this is something that I've noticed with all MagSafe chargers, where they may not do the animation if you've not got the correct wattage going to it as an input. In order for it to output 15, I believe it's a minimum of 18, but ideally you want 20 watts. So what I will do is I'll leave a link in the description below with loads of chargers. They range from like $7.99 through to about maybe £13. So they're not that expensive. As I said, I personally don't normally charge my phone in the car, so that's not even an issue for me. What I thought would be good for is, because of the way that this can literally just fold up and get chucked away down here, it does mean if I do ever go on a long journey, if that ever happens again, obviously you've got a nice and easy cable that you can just plug in, and when you're not using it, it's hidden away. And then whenever you're mounting it, it's basically easy to go on. And the reason I'm doing it with this particular case is leather actually reacts slightly differently in terms of how it actually grips onto MagSafe. So leather is probably the one material that's actually the most slippery. It's not as grippy as the silicone or even the clear case that it comes with as part of this kit from Zeera. But because of how leather actually feels and essentially how slippery it is, it's not so much that the strength of the magnets doesn't work as well, it's more so the fact that as soon as you get movement, so as soon as you push it off the magnets, it'll actually disconnect a lot easier. So I actually used this particular case today when I went out on a drive, and it performed perfectly. Apologies if you are getting some of the noise in the background from the engine. I had to have that running because my charging port only works when I have ignition on. But yeah, so basically if with this particular case it's not dropped off, then basically you can rest assured that it's going to be fine. You're not going to have an issue with this dropping off on you. And if you do use either the silicone cases or the clear MagSafe case, they're probably going to perform a little bit better because they'll actually be a bit more grippy, and they'll actually hold on to the mount a bit better. Whereas the leather one, as soon as you'll notice this with the leather wallets as well, as soon as you move slightly off center, it'll actually slide off as opposed to losing magnetic strength, so to speak. But yeah, really impressed, to be perfectly honest. I mean, this, if you think about how quickly it actually takes, that's how quick it is. And another little trick that I figured out was if you put it right on your bottom sort of slat, if you've got the similar sort of vents to my car, all of these middle ones are going to be quite flimsy, even though you're going to be tempted to put it there because it's easiest to actually get in there. What will actually happen is the bottom part of the mount, so if I just remove that again, and at the moment I've got it at an angle, so it can be a little awkward getting off because of the teeth. So the bottom part of these teeth essentially will be resting on here, so it's actually taking the weight away from the vent and putting it onto the actual surround. So there we have it fitted. Even though this may shake about, the thing you have to remember is once you put your phone on, because of the weight of the phone, it's actually resting against this, so it won't actually move about. You can obviously, you don't want to do this while you're driving, but I have actually tested where I've put it sideways and basically it's not dropped off. There's no problems with it. If you do use your phone for sat nav, anything like that, then obviously it's nice and safe, and it's the speed. It's literally, you get in, you chuck it on, and then when you're ready to take it off, you take it off. Even though it seems very easy putting it on and taking it off now, it does actually hold quite well. So yeah, performing very, very well.